Hello, and thank you for watching You Money Happiness. For the past 6 months, I've been practicing Kakebo, and I learned a few things. So Kakebo is a Japanese-style personal financial journal, or basically a simple ledger of your personal finances. Kakebo has become pretty popular in the West in the last several years, and if you do an internet search for it, you're going to find lots of articles and videos, some of which claim that Kakebo can transform your savings and your personal finances. So here's what I did and what I learned. Each month with Kakebo, you're going to ask yourself some questions about your financial situation. And this starts with asking how much money you have available. So what I would do in my Kakebo journal is write down all of the cash I had left over from the previous month that hadn't been converted into savings. Then I would make a list of all of the income I expected for the month. Because I am a contractor and freelancer and a lot of my income is variable, I would write down my estimated income from each of those sources as well as my actual. Next, you want to ask yourself how much you would like to save. So how much do you want to put in the 401k? How much do you want to put in the IRA, etc. And then finally, you're going to write down everything that you spent. Literally list out every single expense. And for me, this was both the best and the worst part of Kakebo. So on the good side of things, writing down every expense made me incredibly familiar with what we were spending and who was spending it. And this makes sense because there are lots of articles and lots of studies that suggest a strong relationship between writing something down by hand and memory or writing something down by hand and learning. Thus, it follows that by writing down all of our expenses, you become super familiar with them. In fact, in one case, I was able to save $9.99 per month because it turned out that we had a duplicate subscription to the same service that we didn't need. I had missed it previously in the computer-based accounting tool that I used, but when I had to write it out by hand, I was able to discover it. Now, writing everything out by hand was also a problem. Here's why. I was writing down my own expenses, everything that my wife was spending, everything that our teenage son was spending, and all of our business expenses. And even though I was doing this every single morning as part of my morning routine, it could become pretty laborious. There were a few days where I literally had to spend 40 minutes going from bank account to bank account and credit card account to credit card account, writing everything down. I also found that at the end of the month, it was sort of harder for me to review my expenses for the month in this format. In my computer-based tool, a lot of those transactions came in automatically, and I would just go through and make sure they were properly classified. And what I found with Kakebo was that I was comparing my handwritten ledger to my computer ledger, and it was really taking a lot of extra time at the end of the month. So what does this all mean for you? Well, you can find lots of other Kakebo practitioners and templates, etc. online, and I do suggest that you take a look at it. There was an absolute benefit to writing down our expenses. At the same time, I'm not sure the benefit was worth all of the additional time that it took. So for me personally, I'm going back to my computer-based accounting and I'm using journaling or writing about expenses sort of as a spot check for certain areas, like in a given month, writing down all of my restaurant expenses. In the end, paying attention to your finances is super important and it will improve your quality of life. Kakebo did help me find at least one area where I was wasting a little bit of money on a double subscription, and it certainly made me a lot more familiar with our patterns of spending. So I hope you found this video useful and helpful and informative, and I also hope you'll take a minute to subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks again for watching.